Hi, welcome everybody. It's 4 o'clock. It's Thursday, but instead of meeting at the Knitting Cup, we're in my dining room because it's so icy. You can't tell, but the trees behind me, there's about oh golly, and maybe an eighth of an inch of ice on it. I've got a bay tree on the side yard that's just barely hanging on. It's cold, but I'm glad you can meet with me today. I really appreciate it. We're just like always, I am taping this, so I'll put it on YouTube in case you missed it. But I so appreciate, like I said, I'm so appreciate you checking in and watching. This is our 5th installment of the sweater class. And every time we meet, I find just a little bit something different to offer for you. This time, I think it's kind of a big deal because it's lace. And if you've never knit lace, don't be afraid of it. It's not difficult at all. I will tell you that the key to knitting lace is stitch markers. Even I've met with some lovely people that have been knitting forever and ever, and they'll tell me, I just can't get my stitches right. And I'll say, do you use stitch markers? And, every now and then they'll tell me they don't know what that is because they've been knitting so long. It's just not part of their vernacular. It's not necessary. But when you've got a lace that is like this is called the Love Note by Tin Can Knits. It's put out by Tin Can Knits. And it's just fantastic. It's a great pattern and you can do it. The stitch markers are only 12 stitches apart, and we're going to talk about how to read a lace pattern in the round, okay? I think you'll really have a good time. But I want to tell you the difference between the sweater that I have on, and I'll tell you, typically I don't wear it over a Henley. I don't think I'll ever wear it over a Henley except for this live video because it's kind of bulky, but gosh, I'm so cold. Typically I wear it over a shift dress and it's just lovely. But this one is called the Ranoculus, okay? This one, I can use stitch markers on. Now, granted, I think I probably use stitch markers because I needed to know, every 20 stitches just so I had a count. But this one, this isn't necessarily lace, although maybe this part is a little bit. But they would tell me to do a certain stitch over and over and over again. So there was no purpose in using a stitch marker for that. Now this, you can tell, see how there's like this little drippy leaf, okay? Let's see, I don't know. Can you see there's these little drippy leaves that come down? Well, every drippy leaf is 12 stitches. And when you read the chart, and I apologize, I don't have Dee here, so I can't turn my camera around. And she always helps me out with all of this, but I can't. I can't. So forgive me that everything is like a mirror image for you. But do you see this chart? Okay. There's an arrow here, and it's telling you you've got to read the chart every row right to left. If you were knitting flat, it would be right to left, and then maybe the next row would just be purls. Who knows? But in this pattern, you're going to be reading right to left. That's what this little arrow is for. And notice that all of the numbers are on the same side. Now, some of you are thinking, hey, Trisha, thanks, Miss Will. I appreciate your nice words. This pattern, fortunately, is you get the chart and you get it written out, okay? So when you read this little chart, okay, you can see how the picture is. And keep in mind, the bottom where my index finger is, that's the top of the neck. So you're going to look at it like this, okay? So these are those little drippy leaves that are happening. All right, so what I did, and I just rigged this up for you real quick. I knit this up earlier, and I put in, I don't know, 96 stitches, I guess, because I wanted to have groups of 12, because I wanted to show you, see how these are my stitch markers. There's 12 stitches in between. And if I had a little bit more, you could see a little bit more work. But there it is, okay? And you'll say, well, how do you know where the beginning is besides the tail? But that's what that little red marker's for, okay? The red marker is my beginning around. And then, let's see, I want you to be able to see the right side. And then my green markers mark every 12 stitches, okay? So no matter what, you're gonna have 12 stitches. If you knit 2 together and you have a slip, slip, knit, you've gotten rid of 2 stitches. So in order to keep those 12 stitches, you have to yarn over for each one, okay? So let's take a look. Do you see I have an orange line here and a pink line here? One of them stands for a slip, slip, knit. And one of them stands for a knit 2 together. Well, take a look at all those little circles, okay? See all those little circles? Those are yarn overs. So for each knit 2 together or slip, slip, knit, you have a yarn over that replaces the stitch that you have lost, okay? Now, when you close up the leaf to where you have the little point right here, you're still slip, slip knitting, and you're still knitting 2 together, so you have to have your yarn overs. Well, the ones that you're seeing right here on these outer edges, those are, see how you have this big one right here? That's what I kind of showed you, that drippy leaf. Well, look, here it is on each side. And I've had customers like, y'all, I bet 20 people have knit this. Quite a few of you have said, well, what about these big holes? Look at the big holes. It's just what happens. It's okay, all right? Even though it's one yarn over, for some reason, because of the way that it's written and the way that it pulls out, the tops are bigger, but that's what makes the leaf. That's what makes that little drippy leaf, and you're gonna really like it. So let's talk about, all right, so I know how to yarn over, I know how to slip, slip, knit. So how do I keep doing it? Because there's just one little chart. Well, this one little chart is only for those 12 stitches. So you have to repeat it. So whatever you did between one set of stitch markers, you're gonna do between each set. So let's say you've picked a pattern that isn't written this way. Yours, okay, and so let me show you. In this, do you see where I've marked it? That's a bracket. This pattern, whoever wrote this pattern is using brackets. Sometimes you'll see asterisks, those little snowflakes, on a day like today. Okay, so the little snowflakes or the asterisks tell you where to put your stitch markers. A lot of times that'll happen like in a hat, if you're doing a hat pattern and there's lace in it. So wherever the asterisks are, that's where your stitch marker will be. And that's what you're going to repeat over and over and over again. So it'll be fine. Sometimes you ask me, well, how will I know how many times I've done it? Well, there's a few ways. Some of you use row counters and that little clicky thing or the little spinny thing, they all work. I happen to use tally marks. Oh, I'm the old-fashioned lady. Look, do you see my tally marks? That's what I've done so far. In here, it'll tell you, you need to work it X amount of times for your size pattern, okay? And so when you look here, I think I repeated it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. I will give you a little warning on this one. On row 5, you have to use this, you have to move the stitch marker over. That bothers me. I'll be honest. I had to really work at row 5. You don't do anything. You're just knitting it, but but I think there's some knit twos together, but you've got to move it over. So that's kind of a little hint. Okay, you've got to move it over. All right, so in a sweater where there is lace at the top, or maybe it's lace around the sleeves or wherever, use stitch markers. I would highlight the kinds of things that are knit two together and slip, slip, knit. And for those of you who like to take shortcuts like I used to do, I will tell you, I used to do that, and I thought, well, slip, slip, knit, knit two together, what does it matter? They all do the same thing. They don't. Okay, so knit two together will make the stitches lean one way, and the slip, slip, knit will make them lean the other. So make sure that you are doing each one where it says. The next time we meet, I think because of how we're doing lace, I think I want to go over reading stitches so you can look back at what you've knit to determine where you messed up. When I was watching TV right before this, knitting this all together, and inevitably I would end up with the wrong number of stitches. Well, I'd have to go back and look, and maybe I knit two together too many times or in the wrong place. And that's how you find out where you need to read your stitches in order to find out where you messed up. Oh, one other thing about knitting lace that I thought about that was real important. When you go around and you know that you have to, my swing just started moving. That's kind of creeping me out. I've got big birds. Anyway, so you need to know what you're going to knit on each round. So with this, do you see how there is a spine in the leaf and there's yarn overs on each side? That's how you're going to remember, okay, I have to knit the yarn over, knit the spine, yarn over, and knit the yarn over. I know that sounds real convoluted right now, but if you're looking at the pattern, you get it. But that's how I could keep my pattern straight, okay? So next time we're going to talk about how to read your stitches. So looking at knit two together, slip, slip, knit, yarn overs, all that good stuff. And the time after that is I'm going to show you my biggest mess ups. So it's kind of a do as I say, not as I do, but I'm never going to get rid of those sweaters because I adore them. But you're going to see my biggest mess ups and you're going to laugh, but I'd rather you learn from my mistakes than make some of your own. Let's hope tomorrow I can get in the store and we'll have a great time. I appreciate those of you who are ordering online. I've spent the morning putting a bunch of pictures online so you can see. So the Attenti bags have pictures. Quite a few of the new Barocco yarns have pictures, but I'm still working on it. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe, stay warm, and I appreciate you popping in. Hi, Liz and Carla, Angie. Miss Will, thank you for the compliment. And Trisha, I miss you so much. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.